Hello YouTube. Today's video is all about lead sounds and how you can bring them to life. Right, I've got myself an initialized patch of Serum 2, and I've also got this simple melody written out here that follows a nice A, B, A, C structure, because call and response is one of the most powerful tools in music production. Here's what we have so far. And yeah, it's just a really simple melody. We've just got the default saw wave going there. Let's maybe drop this an octave and add a filter and start applying some simple envelopes to the sound to give it a little bit of pluckiness on the volume and a much more plucky envelope on the filter. I'll make this unipolar by holding Alt Shift and clicking. So at the moment, it's definitely sounding a lot better, but it's still super static. There's not much in terms of change over time. And having that static quality is something that I associate with amateur productions. To really bring this to life, what I'm going to do is apply some macros to the sustain and release of the cutoff filter, as well as a little bit on the decay as well. That way I can open up the sound at will, and I might do a similar sort of thing on this amplitude envelope by just giving it a little bit more sustain and having the release just be a little bit longer as well as I drive this macro. So this is going to be the envelope macro. I'm going to now apply some bend to this waveform using the bend minus. As this is increased, I am getting more low end out of this sound. So I'll just attach that onto this macro here. And I'm also going to attach this same macro onto the resonance control. Then I'm going to just call this warp. Then what I'm going to do is add on a little bit of a vibrato type thing on the coarse pitch. That is going to be at a rate of maybe 2.4 hertz, why not? And then I'll go into the matrix and I'll just set that to be one semitone. So now what we have is a bit of random pitch on this. I'm going to set this to free so it's just unsynced. Nice. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start applying some of these controls to envelopes. You could do this with automation, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to do it with the LFOs. So this can be the envelope control here, and I'm going to set this to be 4 bars and free. Nice. And then let's have another long LFO on 8 bars this time. That way I can have the resonance control be a different one to the other modulation. That way it feels more alive. I'm going to increase the value of this. I'm going to increase the envelope for the second half round. And maybe not have it drop as low overall. So already this has a considerable amount more movement, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a additional long LFO to just have a little bit of movement on the cutoff filter as well. So if I do something like this and then open it up nicely towards the end as well, and just attach that. Nice. And then to bring this out a bit more, I am going to apply a little bit of distortion. And this is going to work really well with the resonance and low end increase. Maybe the overdrive. Might add a bit of compression on this. And then I'm going to use a little bit of noise for the initial transient of this sound on a very short envelope, just to give it a little bit more attack. And I'll put that through the filter as well. I'll bring the decay way in for that. Just blending that in a bit. Yeah, it's just adding a subtle bit of attack without it. With it. I'll add a bit of hyperdimension on for some widening. Give it a decent amount of mix, but really small size. Perhaps we can have that move as well, because more movement is more movement. And so I'm just going to have that mix in and out. So already it's getting this really nice dynamic feel to it. Let's just add a bit more in terms of the detune. And again, I feel like the mix can be automated with that. And I'm also going to attach it onto the detune as well, so it becomes more dissonant as the values get higher. I'll add a nice delay sound onto this. Let's go with a dotted eighth on ping pong mode. And I'm just going to have it so the frequencies don't extend as low. And let's have the feedback be on this LFO. And I'll go onto the longer LFO, and that can be on the mix. Right, I'm going to set up another 4-bar LFO. This one is going to be a little pitch bend LFO, and I'm just going to attach a little bit of pitch bend onto some of the notes. There we go. And I'm going to go matrix, and then I'm going to go LFO 7 onto the global main tuning. And that can be bipolar, and go maybe 12 semitones. Let's just try that at first. And set that to free once again. I'm going to increase the grid size to 16. That way I can have shorter pitch bends. And I'm going to add another one in right here. Actually, I've decided I'd rather have it over here. Nice, that sounds terrific. So now I'm going to go ahead and add on a flanger, and this is going to add a nice bit of movement to it. Maybe if I set the rate to a 4-bar as well, that way it can kind of be in sync with the rest of our cycles. And then just play with the depth until you find something that you like. And then I'm just going to have the mix of this flanger come in with one of our other LFOs. Let's have that range be nice and long. I'm going to have it partially mixed in to begin with, so we have more of that flanger effect present. And I might increase the feedback as well. Let's just add on a convolver for some reverb. And let's just go with some kind of a medium room here. L90 medium room, why not? Play with the tone. Let's have the decay be a lot shorter. And now I'm going to create a new LFO. And this is going to be, once again, a nice long one. Let's go 8 bars, set it to 3. And I'm just going to have a little bit of a reverb washout at the end of this first 4 bars, and then a much bigger reverb washout at the end. So if I attach this to the mix and just bring this up to around 50%-ish. That is sounding very nice and quite alive at the moment. Now what I can do is I can attach some extra modulations. So I'm going to go onto the velocity control, going to increase the drive of the filter as well as the openness of the cutoff. And then perhaps we can also have the velocity attached a little bit to the drive on this overdrive here. And I'm also going to attach it to the mix of the delay. Right. And now we can go into our MIDI, and I'm just going to reduce all of these velocities to 0 so I can decide which notes I want to bring out. Nice. Right. And then with a bass line, and I'm also going to cut off all the low frequencies and add a sidechain, we have this. I'm just going to make this first macro a bit more open to start off with. Right. And then maybe let's just add on a filter here and just re-establish the pluckiness with a final envelope. And that's just going to be a little bit of a pluck with maybe a steep filter. And then I'm going to attach that to a final LFO, which is also going to be another long one, and set that to 3. And then this can just open up over the course of 8 bars. Maybe let's have this open up here. and then have it be much more open towards that last section. I'm just going to set a little kill switch for the delay. I'm just going to basically make it so that the feedback will turn off at certain points. I'm going to go a little 2-bar thing, and I'm going to just have it so the second bar has delay and the first one doesn't. So it's going to be like this. Set it to free. And then I'm just going to add in a little bit of reverb just to give it a little bit of extra space and depth. I'm going to show you that the waveform of your lead doesn't matter. It does, but it doesn't, because the expression of it is substantially more important. So I'm just going to go into maybe some of these digital ones, and I'm just going to flick through some of the stock Serum wavetables and see what we get. Yeah, maybe have this in a higher octave. Have the detune on this first oscillator, and voila. And yeah, there you have it. That is how I go about making my lead sounds. Hopefully that gave you a little bit more of an insight of what goes into making these kind of rich, evolving sounds, and made it a bit clearer that the waveform is so open-ended, and it's really more about what you're doing to bring that sound to life. With all that being said, if you want to support the channel, you know how to do that. And I'll see you on the next video.